All right, now, this exercise that we're going to ask you to do, we're going to kind of come up with something together, but it should meet 3 rules. All right, so any exercise that we choose should first be something that when you're doing the exercise, you can't do the tic, or the tic's a lot harder to do. That's the first thing. Second thing is, it has to be something that's less noticeable than the tic itself. So, for example, you can get your head to stop going by going like this. That would look a little strange.
Yes.
Maybe even more strange than a tic might look. So we don't want to do that. All right. Third part of the rule is that it has to be something you can do for a minute or until the feeling goes away, whichever takes longer, in almost any situation. So it has to be something you can do pretty much in any situation you're in that you can hold for a minute.
Yeah.
All right. So can you think of something that might do that?
No.
Okay. Sometimes that might be the case. As a therapist, ideally we want this to be a decision between the child and myself, the therapist. I know what I want. I know what I think will work best, but I want the child to learn how to come up to this by themselves, because I want them to be able to deal with this in the future as they go along. This is a skill they should learn that they don't need me anymore. I want to put myself out of business if they learn the right skills. If they've learned how to do this, I am not necessary. That's the whole point. So in this case, if he can't think of anything, then the first thing I'll do is say, okay, well, I'll give you an example. So for the neck jerking thing, one of the common ones we use for neck jerking tics is slightly tensing your neck. So it would be like this. I would want you to drop your chin just a little bit, and I want you to hold the sides of your neck gently. Not with your hands, but I mean tight gently. Okay. All right? Now it should be gently. I don't want your neck quivering because it's so tight.
Yeah.
Okay, but it has to be tight enough that I can't really push your head over. All right? So it's that kind of thing. And I want your chin down, so you should feel a little tightness here. And you should feel a little tightness here. All right? So that would be the exercise. All right? Now, what I want you to do is to do that exercise for a minute or until the feeling goes away, whenever you feel the feeling. Now, here's what I'm going to warn you about. It's going to build up. Okay, when you start to do this, the feeling will get worse. It'll get higher and higher and higher and higher, and it'll feel like, I cannot take this anymore. That's when you got to double down and wait it out. Because what normally happens is after a few minutes, it kind of fades away. All right? And then it gets easier and easier and easier and easier. All right? Now, that doesn't always happen. It doesn't happen for everybody. And sometimes it just takes a lot of practice to try to go longer and longer and longer each time you do the exercise. But you try as hard as you can to hold it back for a while and just sit back and kind of watch when you're doing that exercise. Sit back and watch what happens to that feeling. See what happens to it. Watch it go up, watch it go down. Just kind of take a distance from it and see. All right. So here's what it would look like. Let's say I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I have that pressure in the back of my neck. What I would do is go like this. And I would hold it. And now while I'm doing this, I'm not just sitting there thinking about that. I'm talking, I'm engaging, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, paying attention to the teacher, watching TV, playing a video game, whatever it might be, but I've just got my neck a little bit tighter. Okay? At the end of the minute, I ask myself, do I feel like I have to do it still? If I do, then I just kind of keep going with it. It shouldn't be so tight that it's hurting. Okay?
Yeah.
If at the end of the minute, the feeling's gone, cool, I let it go. All right, I don't worry about it. All right? And then the next time it comes up, I do it again. All right. If you miss it, like if the feeling has shown up and gone away, and you've started to tic already, you've started to do the tic, just stop and then do the exercise. Right. So it looked like this. I'm sitting there watching TV. I feel the urge. I do the exercise. Minute passes. The feeling's gone. I let it go. Then I'm sitting there and I don't notice the urge, but I go like this. I would stop, put my neck down, and hold it for a minute until the feeling goes away. All right? Does it make sense? Yeah. All right. So why don't you practice it once? Okay. Do you have the urge?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Now tell me. It's good. Just pay attention to me. Talk to me. Okay. Don't go into the urge. I just want you to tell me on a 0 to 10 scale, how strong is that urge right now?
8.
Good. Okay. That's fine.
7, 8. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So just now back to football. While we're talking about football. What year are you in school? Freshman?
8th grade.
8th grade. Oh, goodness. Big 8th grade. So I take it you start on your football team.
Yeah, some stuff. Some stuff not. Yeah.
I'll make sure you keep your neck down. So you played defensive line. Did you have a lot of sacks this last year?
Yeah, a couple.
Yeah.
I had one big tackle. It was awesome. That was on kickoff.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's where you get some good speed.
I love
going
kickoff.
behind you.
Yeah.
It really just destroys somebody on that. Where's your urge right now? 0 to 10.
Excuse me?
On your urge 0 to 10.
Probably about a 9.
Okay, good. So, what do you play on offense, or do you only go defense?
I basically just do off defense.
Oh, okay. Have you played any other positions other than defensive line?
Kickoff and defensive line. That's basically all I do. I played some nose guards, just a little bit.
Yeah. You like which position on the line do you like best?
I have to say my favorite overall in the football thing is doing kickoff, but then I like doing defensive tackle. That's pretty fun.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Where's your urge now?
8.
Okay. So one back down a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. So you play any other sports?
No.
No. No track, no shot, no discus, no.
I was gonna try to do the shot put, but I couldn't because it interfered with my schedule.
Oh, okay. So what kind of music do you like?
Everything. I like everything. I like pop, Christian,
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Anything that catches my ear.
Okay. So where's your urge at now?
5.
5. Okay. So just keep doing it. You're doing fine. What do you do for fun on the weekends?
Hang out with my friends.
Yeah. What do you guys do?
There's a lake near where I live, so we either go in the lake or go out to eat together or do something.
Okay.
Chill.
Okay. Cool. So what's your favorite subject in school?
Language arts
Yeah.
and social studies.
Cool.
Yeah.
What do you like most about? I'm a social scientist, so I like social studies too. So
I just like about social studies how people from the past did stuff and facts and how things were made and how people from ancient times were able to put stuff together in their lives and like what works and what doesn't work between socially
right.
events and stuff like that. Social events. Yeah.
Yeah. So where's your urge now?
4.
Okay.
This is weird. It's like it started off where like I wanted to do it so bad, and now it's like not so bad.
That's your brain's going to do that though. It's not your brain won't, if you hold out long enough when something like this is happening, your brain, whatever cells are firing to cause that, they can't keep firing forever. It'll fade away. We call that habituation. That happens kind of normally. And sometimes something will happen and it'll spike it again, but it doesn't have to fire is the point. So I like history too. That's actually my favorite subject in school. If I had to do over again, I'm glad I didn't. But if I had to do it over again, I might have been a history teacher. Because in Wisconsin, I'd be unemployed. So where's your urge at now?
It's kind of like fluctuating a little bit. Like right now, it's about like a 5, but went up just a little bit.
Yeah,
but
sure.
it just could be in the moment kind of thing.
Do you feel like you have to do it anymore? I mean, do you feel like if you let your neck go, you'd tick?
I feel like right now, I feel like if I don't really have to do it, but I feel like if I did do it, then I would have to. Does that make sense? Like if I did do it, then the pressure would come back on, but I don't feel like I have to do it.
Okay, you can let your neck go then. You don't have to do the tick, but you don't have to do the tensing thing anymore.
I don't feel it's not. There's no.
It's not there anymore, is it?
No.
Yeah.
It's no. There's no more pressure.
Right, it's gone.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's an example of what it would look like. Okay, and it took about 5 minutes the first time you did it. The second time you do it, it'll take shorter. The third time you do it, it'll take less. The fourth time you do it, it'll take less. So, so the next time you do it, now I want to sit here and I just want to talk a little bit more.
Yeah.
Did you just feel it again?
No, I was just nodding my head.
Oh. The next time you feel it, I want you to, or when you do the tick, I want you to go right back into the exercise. But importantly, I do not want you to just sit there and focus on the tick. You've given more than enough time in your life to these ticks. No more. I mean, do the exercise, keep it down, but then just talk to me. Talk to your friends. No. Just do the urge, or do the exercise. Chin down slightly, and just let the urge go. Do what it's going to do. Okay, but talk to me. What's your favorite period of history?
Period of history. I like around there, I like, if we're talking like ancient, I like the whole like Greek and Roman era and stuff like that. And then if we're talking more recent, I'm pretty interested in the like 40s, 50s, 60s.
Oh, okay.
Like the whole like hippie stuff. That's pretty cool. And like during, the hippies is in the 60s. 60s is more like hippie and awesome, and then 40s is because like World War II and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure that interests me.
Yeah. What's your favorite period of American history?
Yeah, just like
40s, 50s.
40s, 50s, 60s around there. Actually, not in the 50s. I don't even know anything about that. Just 40s, 60s.
There wasn't much going on.
Yeah, not much. 60s, 40s.
Just the Korean War and stuff. Yeah. Where's yours? It's been about a minute.
5.
Okay. Just kind of keep it going, unless you feel like you're done. I mean, unless you feel it's gone, but. Yeah, I like my favorite period of American history is probably the Civil War. Yeah, I think that's the most interesting period for me. I wasn't born in the 60s, so that still is history to me. It's not
history to me too.
Yeah. The 90s might be history to you. That's the scary part. Where's your urge?
3.
Okay. So what is it about World War II that is so exciting, so interesting to you?
It's interesting, just the whole fact, like World War, you know what I mean? It's like it's like a ripple effect. Somebody does something, and then something else happens, and then Hitler rises to power, and Mussolini and Stalin, and they're all like, we're the 3 bad stooges, and they're all like crazy. And then like, it's cool, it's interesting, and it's like when it comes to the Holocaust, it's really sad, and it's almost like interesting on how people think. Like for me, I would never hate someone so much to do that, and it's almost shocking, like how somebody could do that, and that's why I think it's interesting. Not like, oh, it's cool, but it's like it's
what leads to that?
Yeah, what leads to that?
Yeah.
What can go so bad that makes you want to do that?
Right. Right. Yeah. And especially people you don't even know. I mean, take it even further extreme.
Yes.
Where's your urge?
2.
Okay. So what'd you notice here? Quicker, right? It's faster. Never got up quite as high. This is the second time it happened. So keep going, keep going, keep going. What do you see? You see it happening faster and faster and faster. I mean, what are you feeling? What's your how do you think about this? I mean, what's it like for you inside?
Well, it's almost like, when you first start, before you go into it, it's like a pressure. It's like the normal pressure, and then you're trying to hold it off, and it's like getting stronger, trying to have to like clench my fist down. It's almost painful, like in a way. It's like almost like, whoa, and you have to get through it, and then once it breaks this barrier, it's like do.
Right. I've heard that described so many times that not that well actually, but that kind of thing, it's like you build it, and at some point it's just like the switch goes off, and then it's done. You know, and you break that barrier, so to speak, and down it goes. Don't apologize. But this is what we would do as a reminder. This is why we have the parents come in. The parents' role is when one of those slips out, it's not, hey, stop ticking. It's more, hey, don't forget your exercise. Because this is a hard thing to do, to pay attention to your own body all the time. That's why the parents are there to help. Okay, and so we just remind him to use it, and then he goes into it. Now, while he's into it, he can pull out his video games and play. I don't care. That's completely fine. Because again, that's what he might normally do. The point is just to hold the exercise until that urge passes, and eventually that urge goes away faster and faster and faster. Now, what else are you noticing in the audience as you're watching him?
We were noticing that his fist was very tight when you first started, but then it started out with his thumb between his fingers, and then as you guys were talking, it slowly came out, and the whole hand just kind of relaxed. You could see that you were tense about it at first, but then started relaxing as you felt better about it.
Where's your urge?
4.
Okay. So now, if you just are watching him and you didn't know what was happening, what would you say? If you hadn't been watching treatment, just observing what he's doing.
No tics.
Just relax.
Yeah. But I mean, compare how many tics were happening, how many of the head jerks were happening before to happening right now.
And even when he does tick, it's not as severe. The severity level has come down
Right.
from when he relaxes
That's right.
and lets the tick happen.
Yeah. That's right. The intensity of them has
Right.
been diminished as well. Are they going to still happen? Of course they're still going to happen. He has Tourette's. It's not gone. It looks like it's gone, but it's not. It's there. The question is, can you manage it more effectively? Can you bring about reductions that way? Okay. Where's your urge?
2.
Okay, now remember, the first time he went into this exercise, this soon after he started the exercise, his rating was at a 9. Now, this soon after he started his exercise, it's at a 2. Where's it at now?
Feel it.
He doesn't feel it. And that's what I'm talking about. When I talk about fast, it can be this fast. Okay. Now, of course, the ones are going to slip out here and there. That will happen. But the point is just to gently kind of stay on it. All right. And as what happens for when he leaves here, if this works. Again, this is an if this works kind of thing. I'm not saying it's, this isn't a treatment. I told him up front, I'm not treating you now. I'm simply showing them what this looks like. I hope there's some benefit to you long term, but I don't know that there will be. So that's what this is about. What this would look like if we sent him home after the first session is I would say, okay, from here on out, every time you feel the urge or you start to do the head movement, I want you to do the competing exercise. I want you to hold it for a minute or until the feeling goes away, whichever takes longer. Don't care what time of day it is. That's what I want you to do. Your mom's going to remind you if she sees you doing it and not doing the exercise. She's going to tell you good job if she sees you using the exercise appropriately. What's going to happen is you're going to feel like you're doing this all the time for the first few days. It's going to diminish. The tick really won't be there much after a couple days. It'll start to creep back. You'll think things are okay, great, and then it'll start to come back, and that's when you got to step on it again. And if you keep doing this over and over again, generally that tick will diminish greatly, if not go away. And that's if it works. That's what it looks like. Okay, yeah, question.
Do you have a list of competing exercises for different parts of the body? Because I noticed that you refer.
Yeah. There are a whole bunch of different exercises that we would do for this. Okay, where's your urge? And you did a nice job of catching it, by the way. That was cool. Didn't even need prompted. And one thing, though, Carlos, the earlier you can get it, the better. If you can catch it as soon as that urge is there, it's better than when catching it right after the tick happens.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are different competing responses we'd use for different ticks. Some ticks are harder to treat. Eye blinking ticks and eye rolling stuff is really hard to treat. Most of those fast facial kinds of things are hard to treat. The jaw clenching thing that he's doing would actually be fairly simple. It would be just closing your teeth together, kind of pursing your lips like that, holding that position for a minute every time you feel the urge to do it, blah, 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 same thing. Vocal tics are all treated the same way. They're treated through a relaxed breathing procedure. Okay? And the vocal tics, and it's always the opposite direction that the tick happens. So if it's a sniffing tick, the competing response would be in through the nose and out through the mouth, because the tick is made on an exhale through the nose. So you always go opposite the way the tick is made. If it's a kind of tick, exhale through the mouth. Good. Exhale through the mouth. You'd go inhale through the mouth, exhale through the nose. Okay? And so you'd always do that. It doesn't matter, people get wigged out about the swearing stuff. Like, oh, it's swearing. What do I do for that? Swearing is a vocal tick. Doesn't matter what's coming out of your mouth. It's a vocal tick. In through the mouth, out through the nose. Every time you feel the urge to do it. Okay, wait until the urge passes. Do that over and over and over again. And there are lists, there are books that we have that have competing responses in it for therapists. So, any other questions in the back? Yeah.
How about multiple ticks? If you're doing multiple ticks.
We would only treat,
Sequence.
we treat one tick, in sequence, like a complex tick with a series of ticks that always happen in the same way. The way to go after that is to go after the first part of the complex tick. So you build a competing response and exercise around the first part of that tick, and then the rest of it would normally fall out. You wouldn't have the rest of the tick. What's your urge?
1.
Okay, good. Okay, work on catching them right before they happen, okay?
This comes up sometimes and then it just goes back down.
No, it's going very fast now, isn't it? The urge shows up, you do the
It shows up
exercise.
like boom.
Right, exactly. That's how it should look, yeah.
One of the things my son reports is that when he's done doing some kind of just made-up competing response, it builds up and he has this explosive complex tick. And sometimes that happens and sometimes it does. I don't know, to the extent it does, but I hear him talking about that. And he'll do that because he'd rather go longer periods and have bigger ticks.
Yeah. In session, we would encourage him not to do that, because really, if you understand the model, what's happening is you're reinforcing even bigger groups of tics, and that's not what we want to have happen. So we have to try to break through that bad feeling and wait until that
So
goes
you
away.
need a different competing response essentially.
Potentially, yeah.
He's doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
He's suppressing and it's building rather than suppressing and getting rid of the urge.
Well, now keep in mind, what the competing response should never take away the urge. Okay? So when you do this, that doesn't feel the same as when you tic, does it? No, I mean, it feels very different. I mean, doing this does not make that feeling go away. Doing this lets that feeling go away by itself. And there's a very different way of looking at it, all right?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does this work with vocal tics as well?
Actually, I find that I have more luck with vocal tics than motor tics. I mean, personally, I mean, I think those are a little bit easier to treat. They go away faster, in my opinion. Again, when it works. Yeah.
How hard is it for them to keep us implemented when they're at school all day and trying to concentrate on academics, and then you're busy trying, oh, hold it, what'd she say? Hold it. So just wondering how that kind of automatically comes into play.
Well, let me ask Carlos. When I was talking to you, how hard was it for you to pay attention to what I was saying?
At first, very, very hard. Because you're trying to focus not to do it.
Right.
And then it's like that, like I said, the tension, it's like a rocket, and it's just like fueling, it's just going up. But then it's hard because you're trying to make yourself not do it as you're trying to pay attention at the same time, and you kind of get confused. You have to like stop, think. But after a while, once it slowly like breaks away, it's very easy.
Okay. So you heard what he said. That was the first time he's done this. So imagine having practiced this for 2 weeks now, and how good do you think you'll be at it? So of course, anytime you're learning something new, you're going to be a little distracted and it's going to be hard to do 2 things at one time, and you're going to have some trouble doing other things. As you get better at it, it becomes more easy to do in terms of being able to pay attention. So think of like riding a bike. The first time you ride a bicycle, learning a new skill, you're not thinking of anything but trying to stay on the bike. If somebody's talking to you, you don't pay attention. But now you can have a full conversation with somebody riding next to you. You're not even thinking about what you're doing. So sure, there's some distraction, just like there'd be a distraction for any new thing when you're first learning how to do this.
Do you give a modification of time, like, okay, you're an hour, let the rest of the day
No.
just take a break, or do you want continuous?
Continuous.
Full force?
Continuous.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, if family absolutely cannot handle it, or the kid's struggling a ton, then we might go for blocks that we make longer and longer during the day.
That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if you remember meeting.
Yeah. How you doing?
Jackie, good to see you. That was maybe 4 or 5 years ago when I saw you at Rush with Dr. Bernard. But back to the vocal tics, I've spent most of my life doing that. And
Now I remember you.
yeah. You're becoming a mile away. Exactly. My parents always knew which kid was up. So I remember, you put your ear right next to it. It was very disconcerting. Is your name Carlos?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, when, to be pointing this out or whatever, I remember I cried all the way home, and it's not your fault. But because it's just so excruciatingly humiliating, it's the way you feel or whatever. But I was thinking of how embarrassing it was, to have your ear next to me and trying to figure out the physicality of what all is involved in sound. And then your recommendation, which was really good, was put the tip of my tongue on the roof of my mouth, because I can't do it anymore. I think when I do that. But my trouble is I really like to talk. I know I'm interesting. So I keep talking, and then it starts up again, and it's so hard to just stop it. But like you said, it's a full-time job. But the more you do it, I'm living proof. The more you do it, the more it. I call it a beach ball syndrome. I feel like it's a beach ball, and you're trying to press the ball into water, farther and farther down or whatever, and pretty soon it's going to explode. And you always eventually explode. But if you can keep it down, just let it go. It's so much better. But it's a constant thing. I mean, it's a daily struggle. But there is hope for the vocal. I agree, definitely.
Yeah.
What about the mental tics, like worry tics? I mean, I know they're intrusive thoughts, but there's also mental tics. So I know, how do you...
That's really not something we can deal much with, frankly. Yeah. It's just, we can't build a competing response around and as soon as you basically do a competing response, try not to think about this or think about something else. As soon as you do that, they're going to start thinking about what they're supposed to be, not thinking about. Yeah, it becomes tough. Oh, yeah.
What about a stutter step or a stop? We'll be walking along and all of a sudden my son just stops.
Yeah.
And, we'll have be in the airport and it's just like all of a sudden he's not there and it's like, I'll be with you in a second.
Yeah.
And then
Those are some of the types of tics that are just much more difficult to deal with. I mean, that one we probably struggle with.
Probably do breathing, maybe try.
Again, there's not, what's a competing response for not doing something?
Yeah.
It's doing something, but, that's a hard thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Does this work, like the OCD behaviors of symmetry? Like my daughter, she gets tapped on this side, she needs to feel a tap on the other side.
It would look a little bit different. But we would basically what I would do is the same kind of thing though in session would be sit there and tap on one side and not let her get tapped on the other side, so to speak, and then just say, okay, let's ride the feeling a little bit. Let's see where it goes. And then what would happen is the same thing that happened here, which is the feeling started to go down.
But would you be tensing something?
No, probably not at that point. If it was more of an OCD thing.
Actually, what her therapist did was, he said you can keep hitting that same side, but you can't hit the other side.
It's the same idea. It's probably the same idea. Dan?
Doug, I'm just curious about what you think is if you have any comments on how the automation process sets in terms of anatomy and physiology of the brain. In other words, obviously the ability for Carlos to kind of make the process of the going into the competing response a little bit more easygoing and allowing the attention to stay on whatever it's trying to stay on, and yet go into a kind of an automated tensing or whatever the competing response is. It's obviously not the autonomic nervous system taking over, but what is happening within the voluntary brain?
Okay, well, remember we talked about what causes a tic is that break in that first session is the braking system doesn't work so well, so things that shouldn't slip through do slip through the striatum. Well, that all happens sort of unconsciously. But there's another pathway in people in everybody, that's sort of you're noticing that something's going to happen and you're intentionally trying to stop it. It's called from the prefrontal cortex down into the basal ganglia. There's pathways whose job it is to intentionally try to stop things, consciously trying to stop things. Right? Now, interestingly, kids with Tourette's, that pathway seems to actually even be a little stronger than people without Tourette's. Okay, because they practice it all the time. They're always using it. It's like a muscle that's getting worked. So that pathway seems to be even potentially a little stronger. Now, what would that mean? This part of the brain, a lot of that's involved in attention, paying attention to other things. So every time he notices the tic, or the urge, think of it, okay, this part is lit up. I'm aware now. I'm aware. I've got to do something. What am I going to do? I'm going to do something intentionally to step on the brakes, so to speak. So this lights up, the pathway goes down into the basal ganglia and it says stop the movement, all right? And then the urge goes away by itself. All right. Now that can become routine. That itself can become habitual, all right? And so what he'll learn is that every time that urge comes up, that pathway should be initiated. All right. Now what happens long term is if he were to keep doing this, what would happen? Would he be doing this all of his life, just as often as he does the tic? No, he wouldn't. This would only be activated when the urge shows up. The rest of the time he would just not do it. And if the urge isn't there as much anymore, he wouldn't have to do this. All right. So this doesn't replace this. All right. It's not a replacement thing. It functions differently than that. Other questions?
I have a question for Carlos.
Yeah.
I'm amazed sitting here at how quickly you're catching yourself in an hour. You are amazing. I'm sitting here in awe. I know you're in front of the whole group. I just wanted to say congratulations and thank you.
Any other last questions for Carlos or myself? Yeah.
For Carlos, in the process of doing this, I'm wondering how you feel from a perspective of self-esteem, confidence, feeling better about yourself, knowing that you have that kind of tool to be able to help you empower yourself to, within the, living with your tics?
I feel great. It's amazing. Almost like instead of going through school and like moving my head and stuff, and my friends being like, "What are you doing? What are you doing now?" Now I know I can. Like I've never really thought about that. I've never thought about that possibility of being able to sit there and break through the barrier and just goes down. I feel in the matter of an hour or so, however long we've been here, it's like a boost of confidence almost. It makes you feel like now you know how to reverse you know how to stop what's going to happen. It's like it's amazing.
It's actually, interestingly, he says that because that's one of the things that we hear from parents a lot is, my kid's tics are down, and that's great. But the biggest benefit that he's gotten out of this is he finally feels in control of himself a little bit. And I used to not really understand, but then the more I thought about it, it's like, Tourette's is tics and everything, but there's something more to that in that, if we don't have tics, we don't understand that we have something that we all take for granted, which is we control what we do. It's kind of fundamental. It's so fundamental we don't think about it. But imagine if you weren't even in control of the basic things your body does. I mean, that's a scary place to be, just for anybody. And so imagine being given something, given something that you can do, that you can take control of, that allows you to get a little bit of control over your own body again. That's kind of a hard thing to even understand, but I hear that a lot actually from parents who go through this.
Okay, so you guys all know the quote, "I have Tourette's, but Tourette's doesn't have me." Well, before I knew the quote, and I'm like, okay, I kind of get like the fundamental. But this, from what I've experienced in the past couple, it makes the statement true. If that makes sense, I feel like coming on, but you can just it's like makes you the boss man now. You know what I mean? Yeah. You're the boss.
You're the boss man. I like that. That's good.